Balaji sir, the senior member of IEEE. He is currently associated with a Department of Computing, the Montfort University, Kazakhstan, Almaty. Kazakhstan. He's having 18 years of teaching and research experience. His research interests are machine learning, cloud computing, and optimization techniques. So far, he has published more than 40 research articles in various in-text international journals and conferences. Now, Dr. B. Saravanan Balaji sir will take us through the exciting topic real-time monitoring in defense, leveraging next-generation communication for enhanced security. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Saravanan Balaji sir to share his experience with us. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, all. Thank you for this opportunity to handle this session in this FTP. Today, my topic is real-time monitoring in defense, where you are going to use the next generation communication for enhanced security. Session is you are going to understand about the structure and the evolution of the modern defense communication architecture, and we will see how analysis of real-time monitoring systems applications. Then we will see the next generation technologies and their impact on the defense systems. Small discussion on the security protocols and threat mitigations. And we will see about the future innovations that will shape the defense monitoring and security. So these are the objective of this today's session. So the agenda is actually this presentation is consist of 5 parts, where the first part we will see about the defense communication evolution, followed by the modern architecture and systems, where we will see about the current scenario, what is going on in the defense systems. Then we will see about the real-time monitoring system technologies, which can be used or integrated into the current technology so that the security can be a more successful one. Followed by the part 4, security and future technologies. And we will see a small case studies and its applications. So this is the agenda of today's presentation. So let's get into the first part. The defense communication evolution. The defense communication evolution has been evolved significantly over the last few decades. So if you see the points, actually the early radio communications has been started by the years from 1900s, 1900 itself, where from the 1960s, the satellite era has been evolved. From the 1960s, nowadays, more than thousands of satellites are in the space, which is helping us for faster and secure communication. And from the year 1980, there is a digital revolution happening, and which enables the faster data transfer as well as secure communication because of this digital revolution from the years 1980. And then when you are looking about the network defense, there is a new term called as network-centric warfare, which has been came into effect from the year 2000, where the seeming there's a huge communication connectivity between various defense units happened in real time, so that the defense can be provided in all the directions of a particular nation. So that is what network-centric warfare happened from the year 2000. And now, due to the evolution of modern technologies like AI and quantum computing, this AI and quantum era has been evolved, and this AI and quantum reshaping the defense strategies for the real-time monitoring and rapid threat detection. So, for example, you all know that 2 days back there has been a huge accident happened in US. There is a collision between a flight and the military helicopter. Why? Because there is a miscommunication happened between these 2 pilots as well as the control station. So there is a unfortunate event happened. So if we were able to combine this AI and quantum computing technologies into the modern communication systems as well as defense systems, we can provide more accurate safety as well as guidelines for the units. So that is what the current aim of all the defense research happening at various parts of the world. So this is the defense communication evolution scale. So now if you see the legacy systems, which were in use for a long time, or you can call it as a traditional systems, where we are using high frequency or very high frequency or ultra high frequency radio communication methods for data transfer. So the ultra high frequency is now in use, where the range is from 300 megahertz to 3 gigahertz. So this satellite communication and warning systems, yearly warning systems, are all using this UHF frequency for sending and receiving the data. As well as satellite communication is used, but because of this outdated technology, these legacy systems are facing very significant challenges. For example, the bandwidth is very limited. So if you want to transfer a huge amount of data in different directions, then it is not possible. As well as we have the security vulnerabilities, which is always there in any system. And then there is a huge integration challenges arising if you try to integrate the current legacy systems with the upcoming new technologies. So this is what a small analysis over the legacy systems in use now. So now, if you think of the technology transformation, how the technology has been transferred from the legacy systems to the today's defense system, there are few key milestones which makes that possible. For example, you can see that the first one, software defined radio implementation. This SDR actually allows for flexible and adaptive communication. That means you don't need to be always within the line of sight with the base station or the control center, where this software defined radio allows you to move at any direction and you are able to sending and receiving the data. And this IP based network integration, this we all know, we are also using that nowadays, where different platforms can integrate with each other very easily and transfer the data. Active radio systems, this also enables the use of available spectrum in a dynamic manner, because you know what is the current problem with 4G and 5G is the spectrum limit is very low, and because of that the available devices within that spectrum is very limited. So by using these cognitive radio systems and using the lightweight sensors, you can use this spectrum in a dynamic manner, and you can make everyone capable of sending and receiving the data. And finally, we can see that now we are in the AI or machine learning era, where this AI and machine learning technologies are being integrated continuously with the new systems for automated threat detection and response. Because you know, threat detection by a human is not possible because of the technology evolvement today. So we need an automated systems which can capable of sensing the threats within few microseconds, and it can respond by itself. So that is achievable by using this AI and machine learning. So these are the key milestones which actually helps the technology to transfer from the legacy systems to the modern defense technology. So now you can think, okay, these technologies are able to help to transfer to a new defense system, but how this defense system can be developed, or what is the architecture behind that? If you see that the modern defense communication architecture, actually it is a three-tier architecture. So this three-tier architecture, there are three segments, where the first one is called as space segment, second one is called as aerial, and the third one is called as ground segment. So if you think of the space segment, actually the space segment is comprising satellites for secure and global communication. Because nowadays you cannot think that you are within a boundary called a nation and your resources are safe from the enemy. So because of the higher communication capability and various other factors, you have to be thinking of having a secure communication in a large scale. For that purpose, your space segment is very important, where you can use the satellites for secure and global communication. And the second one is called as aerial segment, where this aerial segment is within your range, where you have used UAVs or AWACS systems for airborne surveillance. For example, if you want to control or if you want to monitor what is happening in a particular area called a city, then you can use this unmanned aerial vehicles or these AWACS systems for sensing the area, and you can use the data for decision making. So that is what called as a second segment called the aerial segment. And the third one is called as ground segment, which is very common in use. You have command centers as well as mobile tactical units where the soldiers are ready for deployment at any time. So the ground segment is, which is the legacy system, which is already in use, just equipped with the new modern warfare devices like sensors or armors, etc., etc. So these are the three segments of a three-tier architecture: space, aerial, and ground segment. So let's see each segment one by one. What are the various components in that each segment? If you look at the space segment components, there are four components mainly part of this space segment, where you can see that first one is called as military communication satellites, second one is GPS navigation systems, third one is earth observation satellites, and the fourth one is early warning systems. So this the first one, military communication satellites, which is not for the common man use or for common communication. These military communication satellites are completely controlled by the army of the nation, and they are using these satellites for doing the surveillance of their own country as well as the enemy areas, so that they can detect what is going on, and if there is any unwanted things are happening, they can get the information at the early stages. That is what the first component called military communication satellite is doing, as well as it will also provide the secure military communications. The second one, GPS navigation system, which is all we are all also using, where it will use for monitoring the location of the current device or the person where he is in this particular area. So this will helpful for navigating the tactical units for moving towards the particular enemy sector or particular area for threat protection, etc. So that is what the second component in this space segment. And the third one is called as earth observation satellite, which is very common, used by government as well as private companies for public usage, where this earth observation satellites are mainly used for intelligence gathering also. Not only for general telecommunication, but it's also used for intelligence gathering. And the fourth component is called as early warning systems, where these early warning systems are very crucial in the defense industry, where these systems are capable of detecting the potential threat at the initial stage itself, and they can raise the alarm so that the decision making people can get the information and they can come to a decision for further actions. So these are the four components of the space segment in your modern communication. And if you think of the next segment called as aerial segment, where the current location, instead of monitoring the countries or nearby countries or enemy countries, the aerial segment is actually used by the military for monitoring the particular area so that they can gather some information. So if you think of the aerial segment, the platforms used for aerial segment are of three types. The first one is called as UAV systems, the second one is called as AWACS, and the third one is called as tactical aircrafts. If you think of UAV systems, we all know that UAVs are mainly, we call it as drones, where the drones are now in use for everyday life also. For example, in many developed countries, drones are used for delivery operations, as well as they are using for military operations like attacking or surveillance, etc., etc. So this unmanned aerial vehicle system is highly developed, which is mainly used by the military for remote monitoring. And the second one is called as AWACS, where AWACS means airborne warning and control system. So this is actually a combination of drones and some other highly sophisticated systems, where you will can deploy the drones by during the flight itself, so that you can monitor the areas from time to time as you like. So that is what this AWACS system is, and it is mainly in use by the major developed countries. And the third one is called as tactical aircrafts, which is always in use for every country, where these aircrafts are mainly used for creating the communication in the remote areas also, so that they can act as a hub between the receiving center in the country as well as in the area where the mobile tactical units are deployed for warfare activities. So these are the three platforms or three components which are main part of the aerial segment. By having these components, we can achieve certain things, which is called as airborne early warning, tactical relay, and ISR operations. So this airborne early warning means, as I said, instead of waiting for the information to reach you, you can move to the particular area by using these UAV systems, and you can do the surveillance, and you can understand what is going on there. So this airborne early warning system is a huge advantage of militaries nowadays, so that they can easily track the enemy movement. And this tactical relay is mainly used for very highly improved ground to air communication. Why? Because, as you know, for example, if you think of our country, you cannot have base stations in various parts of the Himalayas because of the weather conditions, as well as uncertain circumstances in the Himalayas. But if you have this tactical relay communication, you can have this airborne UAV systems and your ground station at a particular location and have a improved communication. That is what this tactical relay is helping us. And the third one is called as ISR operations. Here ISR means intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. So if you think of the intelligence, you all know intelligence is part of the human history from long time, and surveillance is also there, where reconnaissance is the very advanced one, which is possible because of this advanced technologies, where instead of humans, the devices can move into the enemy territory and they can gather information about the enemy movement as well as the enemy particular geographical characteristics, etc., etc. Before 10 to 15 years, it is not possible because, you know, our humans are going as a spies into the enemy territory to gather the information. But because of this modern aerial segment devices, this reconnaissance is very easy now. So these are the various capabilities of using these UAV systems under aerial segment. And the third segment is called as ground segment, where if you think of ground segment infrastructure, which is very, very common in use for a long time, the legacy system, where you will have the command and control center, where the people are, the high-ranked people or the autonomous systems are there for decision making. Then the mobile tactical units, which is always artillery, which is ready to move towards the enemy territory or for any region. So these units are ready for rapid deployment at any time. And then fixed communication nodes. So these fixed communication nodes are the antennas, higher level antennas, which are fixed permanently in a place, so that the communication nodes can ensure the stable operation. That is what the third component called as fixed communication nodes. And the last one is called as edge computing center. This edge computing is very, very important nowadays, you know, because instead of having a centralized server or a cloud for making the decisions, where decision making is very crucial and it should happen within few microseconds, then you cannot depend on the centralized system. But this edge computing makes the decision making very quick at the place where the data is collected. That is what the advantage of this edge computing centers. So this is making the real-time data processing close to the battlefield. Instead of waiting for the command center to reply you, the autonomous systems can easily make the decision and take the next action for preventing the attack or to counter attack, etc. So that is what the fourth one, edge computing centers. So in these four components, you can see that the most advanced one, which is under ground segment, is edge computing centers. So if you think of the real-time monitoring technologies, where we are going to see about the current generation systems. If you see the current generation systems, actually, we are having the multi-sensor integration, where this multi-sensor means not only sensing the particular area for a particular variable data. Instead, you will have a multiple sensors so that you can have a data fusion and you can use that data, fused data for decision making. That is what called as multi-sensor integration, which helps you for comprehensive surveillance. And the second one is AI-driven analysis. Actually, this analysis is not completely implemented in every part of the defense military system or defense system, but it is in use in major areas where this artificial intelligence is mainly used for automated threat decisions, threat detection, and that is what the duty of this AI driven analysis. And edge computing solutions, as we have already seen, that it is for rapid data processing at the place where the data is generated. And the last one is quantum sensing technologies. This quantum sensing is, if you think of security, it is capable of creating an unbreakable cryptography. Or if you think of sensing technology, then this quantum sensing is increasing the precision of the systems. You cannot have any system to have 100% accurate, but you can try to achieve more precise output. So by using this quantum sensing, you can have enhanced precision in making the decisions. So these are the real-time monitoring technologies which is used by the defense security systems nowadays. So if you think what is this multi-sensor integration, we can see that if you think of this sensor technologies, you can call it into two types of sensors, where the first one very common called as electromagnetic sensors, and the second one is called as special sensors. If you think of the electromagnetic sensors, you can see there AESA radar, RF sensors, EVO-IR systems, which is very common used by the military systems for a long period of time. Where AESA's radar means it is active electronically scanned array radar, and RF sensors is radio frequency sensors, and EVO-IR systems mainly used for night vision or thermal sensing, which is called as electro-optical infrared systems. So these are the legacy sensor technologies which are in use still now in various parts of the military defense architecture. And now the evolution has been happened, and we are having the special sensors, where you can see there the special sensor called as quantum sensors, CBRN detectors, and acoustic arrays. These quantum sensors are mainly used for having a high precision. As already we have seen that quantum sensors are mainly used for having a higher precision, and these CBRN detectors are mainly for detecting the chemical, biological, radiological, as well as nuclear threats. So these all four combined together in the sensors, and it can sense whatever the different type of attack had happened at the particular area. Because nowadays the attack from the enemy is not just only the direct warfare items, but it can be a chemical attack also, or it can be a nuclear attack also, or it can be a biological attack also. So we got to safeguard our environment from these kind of different attacks. That's why these detectors are getting more importance in the military defense nowadays. So that is what the second one is called as CBRN detectors. And the third one is called as acoustic arrays, where acoustic array, or you can call it as acoustic sensor array, which is mainly for underwater sensing, because you can easily monitor the air as well as the land movement, but sensing under the sea is very difficult. So for that purpose, we are having this acoustic sensor arrays. So these are the systems actually used for underwater or ground-based sensors, mainly to detect the sound waves based on the sonars. So these are the different new generation sensors, which is in use by the military defense systems for surveillance as well as threat detection. So these are the sensor technologies. So once we have different sensors, actually you have to have the data fusion also, because as I already told, you cannot depend on only one sensor's data, because the sensors can generate the false positive data also. So you got to be very careful to have faith on the data generated by the sensor. So for that purpose, we are having this data fusion architecture, where you can go for multi-level fusion. So multi-level fusion means not a single sensor data, but multi-sensor data are gathered together, and it will be used for understanding the current situation that is happening in that area. This multi-level fusion or multi-data fusion, which is very common and term for the AI and ML practitioners. So based on this multi-level fusion, you can go for real-time processing, as well as you can integrate the AI or machine learning algorithms into that real-time processing. And you can have the distributed computing where multiple areas are covered with different servers in that particular location, so that the different system can have a faster response time. So this is what the data fusion architecture is having in the current defense system. So now we have different sensor technologies and we are having different data fusion methods, etc., etc. But the core issue behind these things, because sensor is a small device and the data fusion is a methodology for processing the data. But the most important backbone of these operations is how the data has been transferred from the sensor to the processing unit. That is what the most important one. So you have to have a strong network infrastructure for the data communication. That is what we are going to see now. The network infrastructure used by the military systems in today's scenario. So if you think of the network infrastructure of the military systems, the communication layers are of four types of networks. The first one is called a strategic network, then the tactical network, mobile for cardiac network, and the last one called as emergency response networks. And we are all in the computing field. We all know about the mobile cardiac networks, but the other three networks are specifically used by the defense systems for secure communication. So if you think of what is meant by the strategic network is, actually the strategic network is used by the high level military operations. High level military people and high level military systems are having this strategic network for secure communications as well as secure operations and intelligence sharing. So this strategic network is not for common man's use, mainly used by the higher level of the government as well as the army of the nations. Then you can ask, what is this tactical network? Actually, this tactical network is a time to time established network based on the battlefield needs. For example, if there is a terrorist attack happened in a particular region on the Himalayas, then there you cannot have a network already established. But what you can do, you can create these tactical networks by having your troops itself acting as a communication node, so that you can ensure that the battlefield have greater connectivity, and which helps for the integrating the troops by using the UAVs and the sensors. So that is what called as tactical networks, which is mainly established during the counter attack time or during the surveillance time, and it can be easily dismantled. That is what called as tactical networks. And the mobile attack networks, this we all have, which is in general use in normal humans life as well as in the military systems. For example, if you think of our country, we are having a vast border shared with multiple countries. So surveilling all this border area is very difficult for us. So what our military organization is doing is they established mobile cardiac networks from region to region, which consist of multiple sensors as well as multiple movable base stations, so that these networks are self-organizing and dynamic network also, so that it can provide the connectivity in those remote areas to the command center or control center. That is what mobile cardiac networks, where we are also using it, kind of even in our police are they are using it, so that we call it as mobile cardiac networks. And the last one is called as emergency response networks, and this is actually a network which will be used for communication during the crisis itself, crisis time only. For example, I don't know whether how many of you know about this. During the tsunami time by the year 2004, actually the mobile communication towers became engaged because of the large number of calls or the people trying to make the calls. And those time, actually, the wireless communication used by the police, we all know that the walkie-talkie, which is very used by helpful for the people to or the police to communication from one point to another point. So we can call it as a great example for the emergency response networks. which is specifically designed for radio communication, rapid communication during the crisis, so that you can have a very quick, swift coordination among the different units. That is what our emergency response networks is. So I hope you understand what are the different types of networks used by the security persons, whether it may be a police or it may be a military or it may be any other thing. So 4 types of networks are there: strategic network, tactical networks, mobile attack, and emergency response networks. So strategic means, as I said, for high level operations, high level people are using it. Tactical networks is for battlefield connectivity. Mobile attack network is always in use for remote area monitoring, and the emergency response networks is short duration networks, which is created by the specialized devices during the crisis for swift coordination. So these are the various components and as well as technologies in use by the current military systems. So if you think of the next one, what are the next generation technologies that are available so that can be combined with the military defense systems? We can see that the 6G communication, all of us know that, which is in development for everyday use. So 6G communication is the first one. Then the quantum computing is the second one. Then advanced AI systems as well as autonomous platforms. So if you think of 6G communication, we all know that it is mainly based on terahertz communication, which can provide the ultra fast connectivity. That is what the 6G communication is capable of. I think maybe you people know, if the 6G communication is come into everyday use within a particular node, you can connect like 10 million devices, so that all the devices can have a huge bandwidth for data transfer. That is what the 6G communication is capable of. Then the quantum computing, as I already mentioned, quantum computing is capable of creating the unbreakable cryptography or unbreakable encryption and decryption methods, so that your data transfer is a secured data transfer. That is what quantum computing is capable of. Then this advanced AI systems and autonomous platforms, which will helpful for real-time fast data processing, as well as you can make an effective decisions in the battlefield, because in the battlefield your decisions cannot be very late, or the situations will change from time to time. So for supporting those battlefield operations, you should have this advanced AI systems as well as autonomous platforms. So these are the next generation technologies which can be used by the military systems for enhancing their security: 6G communication, quantum computing, advanced AI systems, and autonomous platforms. So you can ask, by making this next generation technologies integrated with the military defense systems, how the military systems can be more effective or more qualified for security. Here you can see that because of this 6G generation capability, your military defense unit is capable of doing the terahertz communication. Terahertz communication means you can make the ultra fast as well as secure communication over vast distance. You don't need to worry about the distance between the sender and receiver. This 6G can provide a vast distance communication. That is what the first capability you can achieve by using the 6G. And the second one is holographic telepresence. Holographic telepresence means actually it will allow the real-time and immersive communication between the command centers and troops. For example, your troops are all in movement and during the battlefield time or warfare time. So the troops should have unbreakable and continuous communication between the command centers, where command center is not a moving object. So by using this 6G communication method, this holographic telepresence is possible, and your troops can be at any distance and can still send and receive orders from the command center. That is what the second capability that can be achieved by using this 6G communication. And the third one is 3D integrated network. Here 3D integrated network means actually here the dimension is different parts of a defense system. For example, if you think of a country's defense system, means it is not only the army but the navy as well as the air force. So this 3D integration is possible between integrating the army as well as air force as well as the navy as well as the even the satellites also, space assets. So seamless integration is possible because of this 6G communication. So by integrating this 6G communication in the military defense, what are the benefits that are for the defense units is, first one is ultra fast, ultra low latency. That means the data transferring time between sender and receiver will be very few microseconds. That means instantaneous data transmission is possible, so that you can have the real-time decision making. That is what ultra low latency. And the second one is massive connectivity. Here massive connectivity means, as I already said, 6G communication can support a maximum number of 10 million units in a particular area. So by having these thousands of connected devices in a particular area will improve the battlefield situational awareness. So you can have more effective attack or counter attack mechanisms for a particular battlefield. That is what the second one called as massive connectivity. And the third one is enhanced security. As we already mentioned a few times, that if you incorporate the 6G with the quantum encryption, then this cyber security is unbreakable and your communication will be more secured. So by integrating this 6G, your military defense system will be able to have real-time intelligent decision making and improved defense operations at an unprecedented scale. You will not imagine how much it is more capable than today's capability. It will be in a large scale. That is what the advantage of integrating the 6G communication within the network, current defense system. So this is for communication. And if you think of the processing capability, you can think of the quantum technologies. As you all know, these quantum technologies are revolutionizing the defense by providing the advanced capabilities in the secure communication. Not only in the secure communication, but also in the sensing and the computing also. For example, during the last sessions also I mentioned, if a human is doing that mathematical operation, it will take trillions of years to solve that. But the quantum computer developed by Google solved that problem in 5 minutes. So imagine how much processing capability is achievable using this quantum computing. So by having this quantum communication, this communication can utilize the quantum entanglement for ultra secure unhackable communication networks. That is what's most important for a military operation. And the second one is quantum cryptography, where by using the quantum key distribution techniques, you can easily prevent the cyber threats because you are having a enhanced data security mechanism. That is what the quantum cryptography is. And the third one is called as quantum sensing, where you can see the detection, you can enhance the detection capabilities, not only for the ground units, but you can enhance the detection capabilities by having ultra powered or ultra capable sensors for submarines, stealth aircraft, as well as underground structures also. That is what most important for the recent advancements happening in the various parts of the world. So not only the land security, but you should have the security in all parts of the all directions of the nation, like by using the submarines, by using the stealth aircraft, as well as underground structures. That is what your quantum sensing is capable of. And if you think of quantum computing, which I already told, it can accelerate complex data processing by reducing the time taken by thousands of time lesser time, and then it can make possible of the higher standard encryption as well as decryption, and it can support for AI driven decision making. So these are the possibilities through quantum computing. So if you integrate all these quantum technologies into the current defense systems, then these technologies will significantly enhance the military intelligence, surveillance, and strategic operations in the coming decades. Because that is more important, because nowadays, the world is moving very fast, and the collaboration between countries are getting worsen every day. So you have to be very proactive in designing what are the new technologies are coming up and incorporate into the military defense system. So one of the most important technology is quantum technology. And the next technology you can think of is called AA and ML in defense. This AA and ML, it is not only for defense, but everyday life we are actually sensing it. How the AA and ML are helping for the people as well as for the companies for quicker decision making. For example, you all know, maybe in last 1 or 2 weeks, there is a case that we have to know that if you are using an Android phone or a Apple iPhone, the rates, the prices for flight tickets or prices for groceries or taxi booking, anything, it will vary, because the machine learning algorithm which is behind this decision making is sensing the device what you are using for searching, and it decides on the rate based on that. So that is what the capability of machine learning algorithms in today's world. So if you are using this machine learning in defense systems, then you can use it for different applications like threat detection, which is very important, and pattern recognition. Pattern recognition means, because nowadays we cannot predict how the criminals as well as the enemy persons are communicating with each other. So when we are trying to track their communication, and we have to understand their pattern of communication to make the decision. That is what the pattern recognition is helping. So that is also important. And then the decision support and autonomous systems, these are very important during the critical scenarios. So these are the various applications in defense where machine learning can provide, like threat detection, pattern recognition, decision support, and autonomous systems. So by integrating this 6G and by integrating this different sensor technologies, and by integrating this machine learning, these things are not only enough for providing a complete security for the defense, but you also should have some security measures in the defense systems. That means how you should have the operation of the defense should be provided. So you have to define that clearly. So by integrating all these technologies into the defense system, you can have an advanced security measure, which we are seeing about to see. The advanced security measures that can have as defense can have is, first one, multi-layer security, then zero trust architecture, then quantum safe cryptography, and AI based threat detection. So what is multi-layer security is, as I said, you can have a security and different layers by defining the priorities of the people as well as system of accessing the data and making the decision. So multi-layer security is the first one, which can be provided by using these technologies. And the second one is called as zero trust architecture, where zero trust architecture means it is a simple definition that never trust anybody or any device at any time. That means whoever you are or whatever the device you are bringing, and whatever the place you are, you have to authenticate yourself, and there should be a mechanism for authorizing the operation. So that is what called as zero trust architecture, which is very, very important for the defense system. Because if there is a small loophole in the defense system, then automatically the entire system can be compromised. So this zero trust architecture is very important, and that can be enforced by having this technologies which we have seen previously in the few 3 slides is possible. So that is what the second one called as zero trust architecture. And the third one is called as quantum safe cryptography. Here quantum safe cryptography is actually for future cyber resilience, because now we are having highly capable devices, even a normal human being can purchase it. So if those devices are available for enemies as well as some other people, the insiders, then the security of your system is very, very prone for multiple attacks. So you have to have a stronger cryptography system. That cryptographic system is possible by using this quantum safe cryptography. That is what the third one called as advanced quantum safe cryptography under security measures. And the last one is AI-based threat detection. So even you are having a strong security system, always there is chance of an attack. So you have to understand what are the various vulnerabilities and weak points in the systems which can arise from time to time. So you should have a AI-based threat detection for providing the more enhanced security of the military defense. So that is what different security measures we have. So by having these security measures, you can develop a cyber defense system. So what is the cyber defense system is? These systems are actually very much essential for protecting your military network. For example, we all know we are using very common IP network where the communication is open, but we are providing security by using the various cryptographic methods used by the servers. But this military network is completely removed from the, or completely separated from the common man's communication. So that military network must be secured from the attackers. So for that purpose, you should have the cyber defense systems for protecting the network infrastructure as well as data, as well as communication from the cyber threats. So if you think of this cyber defense systems, there are few key components are present in that. The first one is called as network security. Here network security means by having the different technologies, you can ensure the protection of communication channel by using firewalls, intrusion detection system, as well as the quantum cryptography. That is what your network security is defined, protecting the communication channels. And the second one is called as data protection, where data protection means it is not like a human data. Even our common person's data is more sensitive, and the companies as well as attackers are trying to extract more information from the open public data. Imagine what the enemies can extract from the data of a military organization. So you should safeguard the more sensitive military information using advanced encryption as well as access control mechanisms. That's why you got to have this zero trust architecture, so that you can provide a strong encryption and access control mechanisms. The third one, which is also useful for data protection, which is called as access control, where not a simple access control mechanism is used. Even we are also having two-factor authentication. We are all mostly used in our day-to-day operations. So in military side, we should have a multi-factor authentication and role-based access to prevent the unauthorized access to the data as well as the communication channel. So these are the three components under protection side for a cyber defense system. And if you think of because you are going to protect your data. That is one type. And the another one is you have to respond for any other attack or any other malicious activity is happening in your network. So you have to think of the response also. So if you think of the response in a military point of view, you have to have three systems, which is called as threat detection system. The second one is called as incident response system, and the third one is called as recovery systems. So threat detection system means by using the AI as well as machine learning, you can easily identify the threats and you can neutralize them in real time. That is what most important for the military organizations. So threat detection is the first one. And the second one is incident response and recovery. So not only the threat detection, but once the threat is detected and you neutralize the data, the threat, but you have to recover the data and you should have a rapid response strategies for those attacks. So those things combined called as rapid response strategies, forensic analysis, as well as some system recovery protocols to mitigate the cyber attacks happening on the military organization every now and then. That is what called as incident response and recovery. And the third one is called as recovery systems. Sorry, there's incident response and recovery, which we combined together. We have seen that. So by using these different response systems as well as protection systems, because of the increasing cyber threats, you have to have a modern military defense strategy by using AI-driven cybersecurity, zero trust architecture, as well as quantum cryptography for ensuring the national security at higher level. So these are the various components of the cyber defense system and their roles. So now we have seen the cyber defense system. Now we are going to see about the electronic warfare integration. So you can ask, what is this electronic warfare? Because nowadays the warfare systems are, the attacks are highly technically advanced. So we have to have a fully integrated system, not only the physical components as well as the humans, but technique wise also we should be ready for any type of attack. So we have to have this electronic warfare integration. This electronic warfare is actually having a crucial role in the modern defense. Why? Because not only defending yourself, but you have to disrupt the enemy communication as well as other systems used by the enemy. If you cannot disrupt that enemy's movement, then you cannot provide security for your nation. So this electronic warfare is a major part where you got to integrate with the current current security mechanism in the defense. So the key components of this electronic warfare system are, the first one is called as electronic protection. So what is this electronic protection is, you have to protect the military assets from the enemy electronic attack. effectively using the electromagnetic spectrum for military operations, and at the same time you should be able to deny the adversaries or attackers access to that spectrum by safeguarding the spectrum access by having different security mechanisms. So that is what called as spectrum management. So these are the four important components of the electronic warfare. So if you integrate this electronic warfare along with AI for autonomous decision making and cyber electronic warfare fusion, quantum resistant encryption, so that your military have the superiority in any modern battlefield. That is what this electronic warfare integration will support the military organizations. So far we have seen different types of the legacy systems which is in use by the military, like radio frequency sensors, high frequency sensors, etc. And what are the different what are the different advanced technologies that can be used for gathering making the defense system more effective, like 6G communication, quantum computing, AI and AI for decision making, etc. And after incorporating all these things, we can have this electronic warfare, which will be able to protect our electronic devices in the battlefield, as well as it can collect information from the enemy signals. Then you can counterattack the enemy operations by disrupt their communication, as well as you can manage the spectrum in an effective manner. So these are the different technologies that can be incorporated into the modern defense strategy. So if you are implementing these things, you can see what will be the improvement that can be achieved on the defense activities. So for that purpose, here I am mentioning 4 case studies by incorporating the 6G communication, AI, ML, as well as quantum cryptography, etc., as well as modern special sensors like quantum sensors. There are 4 case studies given. The first one is called as border surveillance system. Second one is called as maritime domain awareness. Then integrated air defense and tactical communication. So these are the case studies we can see. So in these 4 case studies, we are going to see 2 of them. First one, you can see the border surveillance case study. So here the border surveillance means, as you know, India is having a huge border. We have shared with multiple countries. We have to have a strong defense mechanism followed by our military organization. So if you integrate this advanced technologies like 6G, quantum computing, etc., we can have a strong border surveillance systems. So to achieve this border surveillance systems, we should have a multi-sensor integration, then real-time monitoring, AI-based analysis, and response management. So here multi-sensor integration, as I already said, you cannot have faith on only one data from a particular sensor in a particular remote area. So you should have a multiple data or data fusion, which can be achieved by using different sensors in the same area, which is called as multi-sensor integration. So how we can achieve that is, you can combine the electromagnetic sensors, AESA radars, radio frequency sensors, or electro-optical or infrared sensors for night surveillance, as well as quantum sensors for high precise sensing. So this integrated multi-sensor system can provide the comprehensive view of the border activities. Because monitoring the border at the night time as well as in the lower temperature is very, very difficult. So if you have these multiple sensors in your security mechanism, then you can give a higher precise decision. For example, you can sense some movement in a particular area and you can decide whether that movement is because of a enemy person or because of an animal or because of some malfunction of the sensor by collecting various data from multiple sensors in that particular area. That is what called as multi-sensor integration. Then based on this multi-sensor integration, you can move to the real-time monitoring, where real-time monitoring is very, very important for the modern day defense system. Because as the enemy are always looking for loopholes or vulnerabilities or weak points to penetrate into the system or penetrate into the country, you should have a real-time monitoring at all the time. Not even a single second you cannot stop it. So real-time monitoring is very much important. So that real-time monitoring is possible by having this AI based systems or machine learning based systems. So you can have a AI driven analysis as well as edge computing, because edge computing helps to take the decision at the places where the data is generated. So by having this AI driven analysis along with edge computing, data from the multiple sensors is processed instantly at the place where the data is generated, which makes the faster decision making a possible one. So that is what the second one, real time monitoring. And the third one, we can call it as AI based analysis, where this analysis enhances the system by detecting different patterns. As I already mentioned, if the enemy is communicating by using various methods, then it is very much important for the defense persons or defense systems to understand the pattern behind that communication. If you can't understand the pattern behind that communication, then the enemy can share the information between them very successfully by sending the data in bits and bytes format, and they can do the attack very successfully. So you should have a real-time AI based analysis for pattern recognition to identify the anomalies in the communication also. And also you have to have the capability to predicting the potential threats. That is what this AI based analysis can provide for border surveillance. And finally, once you collected the data and you have this very useful data decision, everything you made, then you should have a response management system, so that based on the decision from the previous above components, you can deliver an actionable insight to the command centers, and they can make a quicker decision whether to deploy the military units towards that area or not, so that the potential breaches or threats are addressed properly. That is what called as response management. So if you integrate all this advanced communication as well as computing techniques, then border surveillance is a very successful one. That is what we have seen in this case study. So achieve this border surveillance, you got to start with multiple sensor integration. Then you got to have systems for real-time monitoring. Then you got to have AI-based analysis for pattern recognition and anomaly detection, etc. Then based on the decision you made, you have to have a response management system to deploy the military tactical units towards that area or not, so that your potential breaches can be addressed properly. That is what the border surveillance case study. So that is one type, so that you can give protection on the land side. The second case study which I took is the maritime awareness systems, which is mainly for giving protection from the seaborne attackers or threats. So in the maritime awareness systems, you have to have multiple components, where first you can have that called as coastal radars, and the second one is called as AI's integration, and the third one is called as satellite monitoring. Why these components are important is, by using these components, you can ensure your naval operations are secured, as well as your coastal borders and international boundaries in the ocean as well as sea are secured against the threats like the piracy, because you all know very famous piracy case still going on is in the Somalian seas. So Somalian piracy is very a serious case, where every ship traveling towards through that area is asking for help from the international military organizations. Their ships like US or sometimes India also supported them. So that is much important, so that you can avoid the piracy, smuggling, and unauthorized intrusions. So let's see one by one the components are. The first one is called as coastal radar. So this coastal radar is a specialized sensor which can provide a real-time tracking of vessels as well as potential threats near the coastal regions. So this is actually implemented in our Navy side after our famous Mumbai attack happened in the year 2000, in the 2010s or something. So because of this, having this radar, you can easily monitor the real-time tracking of the vessels, which is now in use by our Navy for tracking various drug trafficking and etc things. So that is the first one called as coastal radar. And the second one is called as AAS integration, where AA means automatic integration identification system. Automatic identification system. This is an important one because in the international border, you cannot ask every ship to identify themselves for monitoring their movement, which is very difficult for the Navy units to do that. So if you have this AAS integrated into your system, then it will automatically monitor the ship movements, and it will ensure the compliance with the maritime regulations, etc. So that is what the second one called as AIS integration system. And the third one is called as satellite monitoring, where this satellite monitoring is mainly used for earth observation to track the vessels beyond the radar coverage. Because if you are having radars in the border areas in the coastal regions, you can cover few kilometers only, but to monitor the movement of enemy ships or the piracy people ships or their vessels in the international borders, then you should have this satellite monitoring integrated into your defense system. So by having these components integrated into the maritime awareness systems, what are the various capabilities you can, or what are the various things you can achieve is, the first one is called as vessel tracking, and the second one is threat assessments. So by using the AI and ML powered analytics, you can easily identify the suspicious activities on the international waters, and you can easily predict the potential security risks. That is what the first capability you can have: vessel tracking and threat assessment. And the second one is called as response coordination. The third one, where response coordination means not only your military units or the naval units, you can also coordinate with the nearby countries for a coordinated security operation. So the integrating the naval forces, ghost squads, and the intelligence agencies for rapid threat mitigation is the part of this response coordination. So this is also possible by using this. So if you are properly integrating the technological advancements like AI, big data analytics, sensor data fusion, modern defense systems, so that you can understand the real-time situations and you can ensure a highly sophisticated maritime security and strategic decision making. So this is what the second case study which I took for this presentation, maritime awareness system. So not only this, you can see what will be the future trend and development in the military defense systems. There is a huge possibility for space-based systems. You all know that nowadays the war is not only going to happen in the land and ocean, but it will happen on the space also. If a huge war is outbroke, then automatically the nations will target the enemy nations satellite first, because the satellites are the backbone for the communication. So the countries will try to break that satellite communication, and in the meantime the countries will try to develop the systems to protect that satellites. That is what called as space systems. Then this neural networks, you all know the bio inspired computing, which is also mainly used for these AI based systems, as well as autonomous platforms and human machine interface. So these are the various future trends that is happening or that can happen in the military defense development. So as an academic side, what we can try to provide some research on the military communication or defense system is, first you can start with the advanced materials. What is here advanced materials? As I said, the main idea is to monitor the remote areas where you can have some sensors developed using some materials which are literally lightweight as well as having high durability and high strength. Because imagine in the Himalayas in the minus 60-70 degrees, you are trying to develop a base station there, which is practically not feasible. So you can provide the sensor coverage there, but the sensor should be lightweight and more powerful, as well as it should sustain on different climatic conditions. So this advanced material science is the major area which can be used huge support for the military defense system, so that you can develop next generation armor and stealth coating for the military personnel also. That is what the first research direction for material science researchers. The second one is called quantum systems, which we all know that, where quantum cryptography is the main area where a new algorithms can be developed for secure communication. Then quantum sensing as well as quantum computing for high speed military applications, it can be used. Then bio inspired computing, where we can develop new algorithms or models using these neural networks to improve the decision making and the capability of the autonomous systems. That is what third one called as bio inspired computing. And the next one is, last one is where the academic persons can support is novel communication methods. So instead of having the traditional radio frequency systems, we can do some research on integrating the Dirac communication as well as optical wireless networks and quantum networks for secure and efficient data transfer. So that is the another area where more research is needed. So by having more research and developing new technologies in these areas, these technologies will shape the future of our military defense system and ensures enhanced operational capabilities and strategic superiority over the enemies. So these are the research directions. You can concentrate on the defense system side. So far from the session, what you can, I'm just going to recall the key takeaways. The first one is multi-layer integration. So as you know, instead of concentrating on the only one domain, you can have a fusion of space, aerial and ground segments for successful seamless military communication. Then you can have this AI and machine learning enhancement, where automated threat detection, decision making, predictive analytics for improved security. Then you have the quantum technologies, which will enable for enhanced security communication, enhanced cryptography, as well as quantum sensing in defense systems. That is what quantum technologies can provide. Then advanced sensors. As I said, instead of having the traditional sensors, if you are having multi-sensor integration for real-time situation awareness, then it will more helpful for threat mitigation. So by having this technical aspects implemented, they will have a strategic impact on the cyber defense systems. The first one is called as enhanced capabilities. So by having this advanced techniques, you can have increased operational efficiency with AI driven automation and data fusion. Then you can have improved security also. Your cyber defense is strengthened by having this electronic warfare resilience, as well as you will have a secure military networks. Then you can have, by adapting this new technologies like 6G, quantum computing, etc., you are more advanced than evolving new threats, because there is a possibility that the enemies will not have the devices and capabilities like us. So we will be one step ahead of them. That is what future readiness. Then global integration. So then you can have collaborations between various military units of the world, so that you can have the technological advancements for interoperability and defense partnerships. So these are the key takeaways from this session. So if you think of this future considerations, what areas you have to check is, first, if you think of emerging technologies, quantum computing is the very major one which will be used by the defense system in near future. Because of this quantum computing, it will completely going to change how the cryptography and the data processing is happening. So the emerging technology side, quantum computing is. Then if you think of the security challenges, then you have to have the new AI powered cyber attacks are going to happen. So you should have strong electronic warfare for counter attack the enemies, as well as to mitigate the cyber threats. Because like us, our adversaries, maybe a enemy nation, can also develop some strong electronic warfare. So we got to be ready for dealing with these kind of new cyber threats. That is what the most important one we got to deal in the security challenges side. Then if you think of this integration requirements, as I said, if there is no coordination between the allied nations, then there is no way of developing the global standards. So we have to ensure that there is an interoperability between the allied nations for joint military operations, as well as we should have multi-domain coordination. For example, we cannot develop only for land. We should have development for integrated solutions, like a combination of land, sea, air, space, as well as cyber defense networks. So the integration requires global standards by having joint operation between the allied nations. And if you think of our academic side, what we can support on this cyber defense system is we can have new algorithms and models on this based on this AI and ML for threat prediction as well as threat response by developing new deep learning based models. And you can also incorporate green energy and resource efficient military devices. So these are the research directions where our academic people can support. So by addressing these things, the defense forces can be one step ahead of the enemies as well as the new threats, and we can ensure long-term security and technological dominance. So that is what future considerations. Now I'm coming to the conclusion of my session. So if you think of, so that is just a recall of what we have seen. If you think of the modern defense evolution, the defense systems have evolved significantly by having transition to new techniques like AI, quantum technologies, and 6G systems for enhancing the communication and security. And if you think of the real-time monitoring, this real-time monitoring is actually powered by multi-sensor integration as well as AI-driven data analysis so that you can have faster and more precise threat detection and response systems. That is what real-time monitoring is capable of. And then next, we can have this next-gen technologies where you can use the new technologies called as quantum computing, advanced AI systems, autonomous platforms, and other new techniques that are helping for reshaping the defense landscape completely. And they are capable of providing unmatched capabilities over the enemies. So that is what the next gen interactions we have seen. Then by having these things, you will have a great strategic impact that these advancements not only improving the security, but it will also ensure the global readiness and fostering innovation for the future of our defense systems. So as we are moving forward, we have to have our focus not diverted, and we have to keep our focus on adapting the emerging technologies continuously, and we have to address these cyber challenges continuously, and we should support the allied nations so that we can establish the global standards for seamless integration. So by having these efforts together, we can ensure a safer and more resilient future for our defense security systems. So that is what the conclusion of our my session today. So if you have any queries, please you can ask.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, ma'am. So okay, ma'am. Welcome. Okay. Okay, ma'am. Then thank you.
Yes, ma'am.